You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You have this massive, incredible, inspiring goal right in front of you, but just the thought of starting feels completely overwhelming. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how you can bridge that huge gap between your ambition and your very first step.
So why is that? Why do these big goals feel so paralyzing? You've got it all written down, you know why you want to do it, maybe you've even set a deadline, but when it's time to actually, start, nothing. You're just stuck, staring at this huge mountain with no idea how to even begin the climb. It's a super common feeling, but thankfully there's a specific technique we can use to just shatter that paralysis. All right, let's get right into the strategy. To fight that feeling of being frozen, we need to create what's called a massive action plan. Think of this as the complete, super detailed blueprint for your goal. We're getting away from those vague ideas and actually building a step-by-step roadmap to get you exactly where you want to go. And this really gets to the heart of it. That huge, intimidating wall you think you're facing, it's really just a collection of individual bricks. And your big goal is exactly the same. It's not about taking one giant, impossible leap. It's about a series of small, totally manageable actions laid one after the other. So how do we actually build this plan? Well, first you just brainstorm. You list every single thing you can possibly think of that needs to be done. No filter. Then you get hyper-specific. So something like write a book becomes outline chapter 1. But here's the real game-changing step. You shrink each task down until it's so small you could do it right now. Outline chapter 1 becomes open a new document and write 3 potential titles for chapter 1. You see? You make it so tiny it's almost impossible not to start. Okay, so now you've got this massive, detailed list of tiny little actions, and that's a huge step forward for sure. But it can also be overwhelming in its own way. A super long list doesn't really tell you where to begin, does it? That's why this next step is all about finding your focus and prioritizing for maximum impact. And here's a really critical distinction we have to make. We often just assume that the order we write tasks down in reflects how important they are. But we need to be crystal clear about this. Your to-do list is just a brain dump. It is not a list of your priorities. To find your true priority, you have to ask yourself this one really powerful question. Look at your entire list of actions and ask, if I could only do one of these things, which single action would create the biggest positive ripple effect for my entire goal? Maybe even for my entire life. You have to find that one thing. This brings us to a really famous idea called the 80-20 principle. Because here's the reality. Not all actions are created equal. In fact, a very small percentage of your efforts, we're talking about 20%, will probably generate the vast majority of your results. So your job is to identify that critical 20%. So this is the crucial part. When you're looking for that single most impactful action, where should you even look? Well, here's a powerful clue. It's almost always the task you are dreading the most. It's that difficult conversation, that cold call you have to make. It's staring at that blank page. The action that feels the hardest is so often the one that will unlock the most progress. And this is the 80-20 principle in action. That one difficult, high-impact task, that is your 20%. When you focus your energy there first, you generate 80% of your results. You stop getting bogged down in just being busy, and you start tackling the one thing that truly moves the needle, creating this massive momentum. So just like that, we've gone from a paralyzing goal to a massive list, and finally, down to the one action that matters most. This is how you shift from just being busy to being truly effective. Let's just quickly recap that path. It's a simple, but honestly an incredibly powerful 4-step process. First, you create that huge, detailed action plan. Second, you shrink every single task until it's something you can do immediately. Third, you ask yourself which single action is going to have the biggest impact. And finally, you identify and you commit to that one key action. And that really brings us to the only question that matters right now. Looking at your own big goal, what is the number one, high impact, maybe even a little scary action that you are going to take today to move yourself forward?